On this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast, we interview Indiana's first Bowspring Yoga instructor. Don't miss it. Welcome, everyone, to the Open in Indiana podcast, where we feature the people, places, and events that make Indiana a great place to live, work, and visit. Today, our guest is a yoga and posture coach, Samantha Simpson. Samantha, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Samantha, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We met recently at a networking event, and you let me know that you are practicing a new style of yoga that's just coming into the state. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, I would love to. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, actually. I am a practitioner and a teacher of Bowspring. Bowspring is a revolutionary and radical new alignment system that is more than just a yoga practice. It's a posture alignment that you can do while you're doing anything. It maximizes efficiency in any work, such as walking, sitting, unloading the dishwasher. The way you position your hands and your feet specifically lead to an alignment balance in your knees, your hips, and your back that will save you pain and leave you functionally mobile to a ripe old age.
And so, Samantha, what is significant about this style of yoga? You'd mentioned before that there are some big differences that most people think of.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that is different is that we pick up the posterior chain, which in modern postural yoga or regular yoga is not really addressed. We get the back side of the body, the glutes, the hamstrings, the triceps, the back of the neck. And we do this by never locking anything out. So there's no straight lines in Bowspring. Everything is curvy, everything is bent slightly, and it's bouncy, it pulses, and it moves. It's more animalistic and animal-like than robotic quality.
And so, Samantha, what are some of the benefits of students of this style of yoga?
Yes, of course. Well, since we are expanding, your bones literally separate from each other. You have more room for your joints, and it's a recreation of joint fluid happens. And there's a more strength in the body, and not only strength, but a balanced strength. So you'll have as much strength on the front of your arm as you do on the back of the arm. And we all know that the back of the arm is a little bit harder to target for most people. It gets weak. Same to say for the backs of the legs as well. So when we have balanced, healthy fascia, then we have less pain. There is more pain receptors in fascia than there is in muscles. And fascia wasn't really thought of before. This Bowspring is a cutting edge technology that takes into account healthy fascia. And for fascia to be healthy, it needs to be balanced, not overused in one area and lax in the other.
And so, Samantha, what is your background?
My background is I've done a lot of different things. Now, I've been practicing and studying yoga since I was a little girl, so about 30 years. And my vocational background has been in several different things. I studied theater, I worked in television and film, and at one point I decided I wanted to go into medical school. So I went down that road for a while and then turned tracks and started studying behavioral analysis. And it was at that point when I was in a graduate program in behavior analysis, I realized I wanted to start my own business, but I didn't have the confidence to do so. It was around the same time that I discovered the Bowspring. And one of the benefits that I didn't tell you about is that when you're taking on this new posture, everybody who's in the Bowspring community feels it too. There is a newfound sense of confidence that is, it is very palpable. So I had this sense of confidence coming in that I could do something greater than I ever imagined. And that's when I started getting the idea to start my own business.
And so, Samantha, you're able to share this style of yoga with your clients virtually, correct?
Yes, and that is a fantastic thing that I can do. I'm so grateful for that. I have a studio back here, so I have my clients set up their own home studio, and I watch them, give them verbal cues, and I also do some demonstrating as well. I've had clients as far away as Australia, so it does work. That is actually, some people don't believe it works, but this is the way that I learned the Bowspring, because since I'm the only one in Indianapolis, or Indiana rather, teaching it, I had to get my learning from virtual teachers.
And so, Samantha, how has the reception been in sharing this style of yoga with the Hoosier State?
The reception has been varied. If I teach it in a group setting to typical yoga practitioners, it's a little bit jarring or confusing because it's so opposite. Those typically aren't my clients. The people who really fall in love with it are those who maybe have tried yoga a couple times and thought it wasn't for them because they weren't flexible enough, or they've been people who have had some kind of sports injury or degenerative injury, and they want to get back into business, back into doing the things that they want to do.
And so, Samantha, as you've gotten your business up and running and grown your online presence, what's something that you wish you knew as a new business owner?
I thought about this question before, and I'm not sure. I wouldn't have known what to ask. I suppose I wish I would have known that I would be successful, because there was a lot of fear in the beginning that I would fall apart or it wouldn't work. So that's something that I wish I would have known, that you can do this, you have the capability, and it's going to be great.
And so let's look at the other side of that. And I'd like to ask you, what advice do you have for someone today who is considering trying out yoga or otherwise looking to connect with their own health? What advice do you have for them?
I definitely recommend Bowspring 100%. And it's a little bit confusing at first. I recommend getting in with a really good teacher, and don't give up if you try it a couple times. Bowspring is meant to trigger the nervous system. It's triggering a part of us that's laid dormant that we're not thinking about. So it makes sense to feel a little discombobulated or a little scared or anxious about it. That's okay. Give it time and trust that this alignment is healing. That's what I recommend 100%.
Awesome. And Samantha, how could our audience get in touch with you if they want to learn more or if they'd like to try Bowspring?
Absolutely. They can visit my website at thesamanthasimpson.com. I have to put the ahead of it because there's another samanthasimpson.com who is a very nice painter, which you can visit her website as well. You could also set up an appointment with me on my website for a free virtual consultation. I'll do a posture assessment for you there. Also, if you don't know if you're ready for it yet or not, you can check out some of my videos on YouTube. Just search Samantha Simpson Yoga or Bowspring and I will pop up. Or I have a really great online community on Facebook. It's called Samantha's Bowspring Yoga Community. It's a free group. I give free videos each week, and that's a way that you can dip your foot in, take a look at it before committing to a private program.
Awesome. Well, Samantha, thank you so much for being our guest today. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you for catching this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast. Catch our next episode soon. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast. If you enjoyed listening, subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Music, iHeartRadio, or on our website, openindiana.com/OII podcast. Thanks for listening.